Hi, welcome back. So today we're going to go over this particular topic. Which states have more wealth, Florida or California? Even though I live in California, in San Francisco Bay Area for the past 30 something years, I don't have the pure economic data, housing data for you, but let's look at from a high level. Let's go over the general high level comparison between California and Florida. In case you have not heard, Florida's epic super wealth migration. We have seen tremendous wealth migration in general, not just multimillionaires, but coming to Florida, especially during the pandemic, right? And people have the ability to work remotely. So during the pandemic, a lot of people from all over the country, all over the world have migrated into Florida for very obvious reasons. There's a reason why Florida has been the fastest growing state for many years. I purchased a whole bunch of rental properties in Florida more than 2 decades ago, all over Florida, Jacksonville, Cape Coral, Kissimmee, Florida. And also, I also purchased in other states, North Carolina, Louisiana, and Las Vegas, Phoenix, all new constructions. I did very well because, and not just myself, my investors also, they follow my guidance and we purchase at the emerging market. We get in there early. We get into those markets early, buy full cash flow and get the cash flow over the years. We went through some turbulent times, especially during the 2008 housing crash. But if investors, and not just investors, any homeowner keep their houses come hell in high water, if you will, they could hold it long term in a space of 10, 20 years, and their property will double, triple, quadruple value that we have seen time and time again. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about that scenario. I'm here to talk about another situation, Florida's super wealth migration. People from Wall Street, New York City, they're coming over to South Florida. And yeah, so you could make the argument that Miami and the surrounding area is a Wall Street of the South, right? So all those financial firms, high-tech firms coming down to South Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, up and down Atlantic coast. They call it Gold Coast in Florida. So my question I want to impose upon you is, which state have more wealth? California or Florida? Hurricane Ian 2 years ago affected Southwest Florida quite a bit, and Hurricane Helene, then the most recent Hurricane Milton, it came about Southwest Florida, along the Gulf Coast and Tampa, Sarasota, this narrow stretch in the Gulf Coast. I know we see a lot of devastation and some people lost their lives. A lot of homes was destroyed. Along the coast, I know the YouTube videos, all the mainstream video, they dish on Florida, especially the YouTube crash bros and the doom social media. They paint a negative picture of Florida is going to crash, or the homes are being crashed into the water. In a way, yes and no. Look, for years, the coastal regions of Florida, you have trophy real estate properties. You have multi-million-dollar condos and homes, $2, $3, $5, $10, $20 million, all up and down the Florida Atlantic coast, South Florida, and even Key West next to Cuba. Do you know Naples, which is like 1 hour below Cape Coral? There are more millionaires per capita in Naples, Florida, than in the Miami area. A lot of people did not know that. So Naples have average home prices like $2 million, $3 million. There are some homes in Naples like $20 million. A lot of coastal areas got hit by a hurricane, and not just this year. Every year a hurricane comes over to Florida. Every year we see the video of the homes being destroyed. Yeah, I get it. And that caused increasingly a lot of people to rethink whether they should live in Florida or not. Some people are moving away. Is there going to be a mass exodus of people leaving Florida? I don't think so. Time will tell, but there's a reason why Florida is the fastest growing state, because warm weather, white sands and beaches, and quality lifestyle, boating, outdoors activities, beach, everything else. But that's the cost of living in the coastal areas, right? Homes that are built more than 30 years ago do not meet the safety codes for Florida. A lot of those homes are severely damaged by hurricanes. But a lot of the homes built post 2000s, 20 something years ago, they survive hurricanes. Those newer construction homes, they survive all kind of hurricanes. They don't have any insurance issues. Along the coastal area, they do. But if you move inland, everybody moving inland, I'll talk more about that momentarily. But in the coastal areas, up and down Florida, you have multi-million-dollar homes. Those millionaires own second homes, they own vacation homes. Most of the real estate transactions in Florida, 30% of them at least are all cash transactions. So some owners of the coastal areas all of Florida, since they bought their homes in cash, they probably don't need insurance. They're going to self-insure because they have deep pockets. They don't need insurance. But only lower demographic people, the own cheaper homes in the coastal areas, they are affected, right? They have to pay a higher insurance cost, 3, 4, 500% increase, whatever. So we have an insurance crisis in Florida, not just Florida. Really, insurance crises are happening all over the country, as me, up and down Atlantic coast, North Carolina, South Carolina, and California. You have wildfire, you have earthquake, and insurance rates are increasing all over the country. You have tornadoes, you have hurricane. The Gulf Coast of Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi are always affected by hurricane issues. On a historical basis, do you know 80% of the world's population live within 1 hour from coastal areas? With all the risk involved with climate change that we've been hearing a lot lately, in all the natural disasters, hurricane, tornadoes, and yet people still are flocking into coastal regions all over the U.S. Go figure. Anyway, at the end of the day, here's my thought. Human beings, they have this DNA, the DNA that they want warm weather. They are willing to take risk to live around sun-built warm weather, regardless of the consequences, regardless of the cost. I know the millionaires and multimillionaires have the financial means to pay for these multi-million-dollar homes in U.S.'s coastal areas, especially in Florida. That's what's happening. So that's what's happening. And consequently, that's what we're seeing. If somebody owns $1 million home in Florida or more, most likely more up and down the coast or affected by hurricanes, they'll rebuild. They get the insurance claims, they rebuild the homes, and then when they rebuild, the homes will comply with the safety regulations for the state of Florida and should survive all the natural disasters, hopefully for the foreseeable future. But people that own those mobile homes and small, cheaper homes in the coastal area, they can't survive, not just emotionally, but financially. They can't deal with the cost of insurance, the HOA fees, and the recovery. So a lot of these lower demographics of Floridians, especially the locals, either they are moving inland to minimize the hurricane issues, or moving out of state completely. Only time will tell. We will track the remigration from the coastal areas of Florida into other states, or perhaps neighboring states like Georgia, North and South Carolina, Alabama, or Texas. We can see a lot of different patterns of migration for the foreseeable future all over the U.S., not just from Florida. Okay. But at the same time, we talk about $2, $3, $4 million homes that are located all over the coastal areas in Florida. Those millionaires have the financial means to weather the storm, literally and figuratively speaking. So they're going to stay, right? That is their paradise, their retirement, their lifestyle. Like I said, Florida has been subject to the hurricane for years, every year for decades and decades. What made you think this 2024 hurricane is the final straw? I don't think it's the final straw. Yes, some Floridians pissed off about this consistent, very severe hurricane we've been experiencing lately, but to say this is going to be a mass exodus, that would be over exaggeration. This is just my opinion. Only time will tell. Some of you may or may not believe me, but it's okay, right? Everybody is entitled to their opinions. With that said, look, again, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, up and down Atlantic coast, this area, we have some trophy coastal properties, multi-million dollars up and down Atlantic coast in South Florida and the Gulf Coast, Naples and Cape Corals and Sarasota and St. Petersburg and whatever, right? It's mind-boggling. The wealth that are situated along this high-risk hurricane zone, coastal Florida. areas. So that's my recap for Florida. And then you have to ask yourself, can you compare Florida wealth migration? People coming from New York City, New Jersey, the Northeast, Chicago, people from California, Seattle, Pacific Northwest, all over the country coming into Florida. We all get it, especially recently. You have international buyers, people from South America, UK, Canada, Brazil, and all the South American countries. They always love Florida real estate, right? They've been buying like heck. They buy with cash on a consistent basis over many years. Then you have Wall Street, you have hedge funds, you have institutions that buying in bulk. They buying these single family entry level homes all over Florida, not just Florida. They buying hedge funds, institutions. They've been buying thousands of homes. You know who they are, right? Invitation homes, homes for rent. They buy 10, 20, 30,000 single family homes all over the Sun Belt, Vegas, Phoenix, Charlotte, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, Florida, and Texas. At the end of the day, Florida is still going to be a very robust landmark. That's just the way it is. Human being cannot get away from this quality of lifestyle. Yeah, I know during the summer in Florida is very humid, is unbearable. I get it. It's not perfect. Florida's not perfect, but a lot of money flowing into Florida, like Wall Street, New York City, New Jersey, Boston. Everybody's flocking to Florida, especially during the pandemic. Retirees, baby boomers, they will continue to come, and not to the extent they have been during the pandemic. That we can see some slowdown in migration into Florida, at least temporarily. Only time will tell. The migration pattern is very interesting. So I'm here to talk about compare Southern California, right? Over the years, Southern California, right? If you look at Southern California, we're talking Santa Barbara, Orange County, and then down to San Diego, right? This stretch of the coastal areas, we're talking prime real estate. Yes, you don't get earthquake here in the coastal areas or hurricane, nothing like that. But you get earthquakes, you get firestorms in Southern California. What else in the coastal area? You get hillside homes fall into the ocean, whatever, landslide, those kind of things in Marina Del Rey, whatever. But there's multi-million dollar homes all across Southern California, land of the wealth, not just coastal area, but all of Southern California, San Diego County and all the outlying areas all over LA and Orange County and San Diego and all the surrounding ocean beaches, multi-million dollar homes, more expensive than Florida on a house-to-house basis. But I think if you compare apple to apple, comparison between the wealth along the coastal areas of Southern California versus the wealth up and down the Florida coast, I could make the argument there are more wealth in Florida than there are in Southern California. Some of you are thinking, Mr. Yi, how come you're not talking about the rest of California, the rest of the coastal areas? I live in San Francisco Bay Area. I know the landscape. There's not that many homes in coastal areas in Northern California because it's a lot of those areas you cannot build. It's not buildable. Plus, it's more isolated. It's much colder. North California Bay Area is very cold. Some of you may not know that during the winter months, it's like 50 degrees. In San Francisco, during the winter months, like 40 degrees. You might as well live in Alaska instead of San Francisco, sometimes I feel. But I live in inland San Francisco Bay Area, not along the coastal area of the Pacific Ocean. Most of the old coastal markets are in Southern California, not in Northern California. Maybe except the Monterey area, you may see some multi-million dollar homes along the coastal areas in Santa Cruz, but those are small metros, small areas. But the mainly Southern California, right? For those of you living in California and for those of you currently living in a coastal Florida area, you tell me, why don't you comment below, what do you think? Which state have more wealth, Florida or California? That's all I have to say. I'm just making an apple to apple comparison. So my purpose of today's presentation, just share with you, it's not all doom and gloom in Florida. Floridians are very resilient. They will recover. The recovery will be long and hard. Billions of dollars of loss, of damage as a result of the recent hurricanes. People in Florida are very resilient and they will rebuild. And we might even see a construction boom. More jobs, more contractors, more builders, more developers, and more construction workers gonna converge into Florida to rebuild the infrastructure, the coastal areas, especially. Is there gonna be a housing crash in Florida? No, the demand is still very high. the excess inventory, in my estimation, is going to be absorbed. People still going to buy properties in Florida, especially investors. Investors that we work with, we are investor, and I take my investors into inland Florida away from the hurricane. This is Turkey, new construction properties in Central Florida, not just in Central Florida. I mean, look at this price. Cash flow, 25% down payment, buyer's rate buy down. It's just, we got a whole bunch of cash flow, new builds located in very good areas that are not subject to hurricane situations or not in a flood zone. They are being built in a higher elevation, and insurance cost is very low. Look at this single family home, $264,000. The monthly insurance is still very low, $61. So not all areas of Florida where insurance premium has increased 3, 4, 500%, like you've been hearing in the news. If you buy in the right area, away from the hurricane, more inland, like in Central Florida and some other areas away from the coast, you can have a very good investment experience. As an investor, this is just a small sample. Please comment below. What are your thoughts about Florida? Do you live in Florida? You live in California? Share with me what are the difference between the amount of wealth that have converged into Florida compared to California. Do you believe that Florida will recover from this hurricane? I think so, because demand is still going to be very strong, and Florida is a good place to live for a lot of people. If you see any value from this video at all whatsoever, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, put your email into my website below so you can become a free member of our real estate investing organization, the Year Real Estate Network. Every morning on your email inbox, you will receive some free real estate investing information, opportunities. We talk about housing market, everything. Okay. Thank you so much and for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.